Pere, pere, pere. Pere, 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 pere. Gotcha.
Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome back. Today we're gonna be getting back into One Piece episodes 825 to 826. Hopefully, gonna get to see Luffy and Sanji squash this beef. We'll see, man. Hope you all are doing well, though. It's been a good weekend for me over here. I feel like I've had a lot of time to decompress recently, which has been nice. I'm taking off this whole next week from work, and it's just been like just decompressing time, man. I don't know about y'all, but I feel like I can barely keep up with like adult life. It's like, I don't know, man, too many responsibilities, bro. But maybe that says more about me than just life in general. Who knows? Let's go and recap the character ratings from last time. We gave MVP to Mr. Brook for getting a copy of the Poneglyph. Absolutely clutched up from Brook. Best moment we gave to Sanji when he does see Luffy. That sweet smile and just the look in his eyes. I'm really excited to see them in this conversation. Hopefully it'll turn out well. I feel like it has to at this point, but I don't know, man. It's after that big fight. It's I mean, that wasn't even that long ago, was it? Maybe like 20-ish episodes ago or so. I don't know when they got in that fight, but it feels like it's been a while. So I'm ready for some resolution here. For the funniest moment, we gave that to Brook. Well, really more it's around the whole little plot line with him being captured by Big Mama and sleeping with her, and everyone's reaction to Big Mama's strength and everything. That was really good. And then for the Sacco, we gave it to that last fat boy that Luffy hasn't been able to defeat since he's so tired. That guy was just pissing me off. I get tired of just watching Luffy take a beating. It's one of the things that has happened so many times in shows. Luffy taking a beating for his friends and stuff, and man, it's just hard to watch. I think with all that being said, though, we can just go ahead and get into this. If y'all enjoy these reactions, help me out, drop a like, subscribe, all that good stuff. But yeah, appreciate y'all being here to watch some One Piece with me. Let's go and get into it. I guess we never got the end of this fight. I kind of just assumed this guy thought Luffy was dead. Man, the tenacity of Luffy, man, crazy shit. Damn. Hey, man, he's tiring this guy out now. And you're not even starving, bitch. Oh, God. Did he just lose all his gas too, or what about the little girl on his shoulder? She just comes out running with like a knife. So he's like use all the last of his energy just to get to that spot. Dude, there's something so like sad and eerie about King Bomb's, like, I don't know if you want to call it a corpse, but stomach can't resist Sanji's call. Man, I love the soundtrack. I really want to go to a live concert for One Piece. Like I don't know if any of y'all who watch One Piece watch my Naruto reactions, but I went to one of those live symphonies for Naruto, and it was so much fun. I want to do it for One Piece so bad. Oh, Yusotsuki? Is that like liar or something? I know I said that completely wrong, but looking real serious now, Sanji. Yeah, now he's gonna have to face all the awful things he said to him too, even though he thought it was for the best. I wonder if you can tell it's gonna be Sanji's food too. He looks like an old man. Aww.
どうした Sanji.
俺は待ってろとは言ってね
You
え。
don't have to, bro. That's the whole point.
お前が一方的に約束をして勝手なことを言っただけだ。いつもそうだ。わがままを押し付けるのも大概にしろ。
でも来てくれたメヒ。
途中落としたし潰れたし雨にも濡れた。
Just like his mom. He's gonna love it. Yeah. Great parallel there. Man, that fish looks cursed.
最高だこりゃ。
Hmm. It's not necessarily always about the quality, but the meaning of the food. The context is important. Hmm.
嘘つけ。
うまかった。干からびるとこだった。
I love how he instantly looks way less like a grandpa.
食ったら帰れ。
あ？
俺は残る。
何言ってんだ。一緒に帰ろう。
何度も言わせるな。俺は帰れねえ。
なんでだよ。
一つ。はるばる迎えに来てくれた己の船の船長を俺は侮辱し、無抵抗のお前を力の限り傷つけた。
Hmm. But Luffy understands, man.
もしもの時の人質に取られてる。だから俺は結婚式から逃げるわけにいかない。3つ血のつながった悪の家族がビッグマムにはめられた。
So?
数時間後全員が殺さ
Except
れた。
for Reiju, that's okay. That ain't no reason. Oh, Kimbo.
恨みしかねえクズどもだ。だが俺はあいつらを見捨てて逃げることができない。
Man, Sanji's too good for this world, man. I wish he could do that for himself, too.
理解したら消えてくれ。
Damn, this is intense, bro. Yeah, snap him out of it, bro. Damn, the disrespect of King Baum's body, though. His corpse, no.
本心を言えよ。
Hmm. Goosebumps, man. Goosebumps. If you can sense that shit, man.
サンジメジ
早く作れてね。
サンジ君、今日のご飯は何？
Yeah, it's all about everyone else except for Sanji, what he wants. Oh.
盗み食いしたやつは誰だ。やっぱりお前らか。
ご飯の時間がこんなに楽しみになるなんて思ってもみませんでしたよ。スーパーうめえの。
Super!
サンジ。
Alright, well, you have the courage to say it, though.
ルフィ。俺は最後に帰りたい。
Sounds like a little kid, man.
どうしても逃げ出す勇気がねえ。
Oh, this is killing me, man.
家族だとも思わねえ。あのクズども。俺は助けたいと考えてる。
Hmm.
だってそれがお前だろ。
Beautiful, man. Beautiful stuff. I love this.
たちがいる式をぶっ壊そう。
Really love this version of the soundtrack, man. And you're gonna be my friend. Ugh, I feel like lighter with all this, all the light coming in and everything, and just this, all this pain that Sanji's been internalizing coming out, and Luffy just being here for him. Mm. Aww. Alright, now we turn the tides of this arc. Wow, bravo to that freaking scene, man. Bravo. Really fucking good, man. Yes. Oh. Okay, this is not that tongue guy. Or is this somebody different than those three? I thought this was about to be the guy who killed that one guy following Sanji. Damn, this guy looks dope though. Like that fucking cloak. Ah, one of the second son. Oh wow. One of the sweet generals though, right?
ビッグマムのお茶会開演まであと5時間30分。
Great, great episode, man. I love that.
ジンベエが助けに。
ああ、俺もびっくりしたよ。
よかった。ナミさんも無事なのか。
Man, he's gonna be so embarrassed to go back to her too.
お前が帰ってくるって聞いたらみんな喜ぶぞ。
Yeah, he's gonna be ashamed though. Yep. He's definitely hurt a lot of people. It's interesting how, like, when you're like so, yeah, you know, you're so selfless that you push away the people or those connections, even though you're trying to be helpful, you know? A lot of times the best you can do is by caring about yourself first. Because you honor those bonds a lot, those connections. Man, I've been getting so many goosebumps, man. This is crazy. So good. Alright, get me the hell out of this mirror world. Come on.
あったぞ。
Show the key.
聞こえるかな。この鏡のかけらで。
Oh, the one that broke, yeah.
キングバームっていう木のお化けの頭の上で割れたの。
He ain't no monster. He's King Baum. I'm gonna give King Baum an MVP of these. We gotta honor him.
おーい、ルフィ。おーい。
ん？これは？
チョッパーの声。
Oh, I want them all to see Sanji.
あったこれだ鏡のかけ
It'd be so weird. Just a little piece of glass.
ルフィ、サンジ君も一緒。
Oh.
ああ一緒だ 再会できたんだな、ルフィ。
Sanji is worth loving, man.
サンジさん
See?
よくぞご無事で。
ブルックはポーネグリフの写しも手に入れたんだぞ。本当か。さすがだな、お前ら。
このイカレポンチ。
Silly goose.
サンジがそこにいるのはいいが、話がついたのか。
Getting right to the important stuff.
サンジはまだ戻らねえ。いいか、お前ら。これからビッグマムの茶会と結婚式をぶっ壊してサンジの家族を救い出す。
Yeah, he's nervous to hear that.
ルフィ、相手は四皇だ。俺のわがままでみんなを危険にさらしたくねえ。だから
You know that they would all put their lives down for you. Yeah. Bastards building that tension.
なんだよお前。ルフィと大喧嘩したって聞いたから心配した。
Yeah, that's all they care about.
よかった。本当にバカ。
Simpleton!
そうすればサンジ君は帰ってくるのね、ルフィ。
ナミさん、
ああ、サンジ君、あんたが私を恐怖のどん底に突き落とした件は
You're in trouble. You're in danger.
絶対に許さない。
Oh, Chopper.
だけど一旦忘れましょう。お茶会まで時間がない。あんたには必ず帰ってきてもらうからね、サンジ君。
Oh my god. She's sending mixed signals.
安心したよ、俺。
That's, I guess, Nami's way of accepting him back.
やるべきことは分かった。ああ、ぜひ助けよう。しかし簡単ではない。それを壊すとなれば、
I'm ready to see it.
責任に触れるということになる。さらにはお前さんたち、ここでいろんな大臣たちにまみえたと思う。
Yeah, they're all bitches, little baby boys.
各国より招かれる闇の世界の帝王。
Ooh. That makes me excited.
対する我々はわずか。
I don't know, maybe they'll be able to pull some people to their side, such as the Vinsmokes potentially, although I doubt it. Vinsmokes probably won't even recognize it.
しかおらん。
じゃないよ。サバ読むな。たった8人だろう。殺されちま
Another one?
え。大臣の到着だ。門を開けろ。
その必要はねえ。
え？
俺が開ける。
Damn, that voice. Third son, okay. Minister of Beans. Beans! Shall it? Dafuku? Okay, definitely gonna have an interesting devil fruit power. For a second, I was like, that kind of looks like Smoker's devil fruit.
カポネギャングベッジを知っとるな。
サンジを連れてったやつだ。
Forgot about the damn tank thing.
奴の故郷ウエストブルーでは強大な5人のマフィアが
Yeah,
裏社会を牛耳っておるんじゃ。
that's cool.
西の5大ファミリー、その5人のボスの一人だったのがあのギャングベッジ。奴の若い頃鉄砲玉として名を挙げた頃の名残。
Assassin, man.
枯れた若造で無抵抗の生物を痛めつけ、少しずつ弱っていく。
Psychopath.
なんだそのひでえ話。
Yeah, he's fucking around, bro.
組織に置き換えても同じことが起きる。
少し苦味が足りねえな。ではこちらを。
So much more bitter that way, yeah. Damn, bro.
逃げだろ、鉛の味は。
So funny, Bege.
観念しないの裏切る気か兵力が違う
Yeah, he's damn.
金品だけを奪った
Yeah, this is some gang violence here, man. What's that like famous event in Chicago where like they dressed up as cops and like massacred the rival gang?
実に悪趣味な男じゃ
Yeah, it's seeming like it.
他に飽きて海へ出てもやることは同じじゃ
The mafia mob boss pirate.
海でも復讐者たちに追われ続けるやつに四皇の参加とは格好の隠れ
Yeah, but now he's kind of fucking with Big Mom a little bit too, right? Like going behind her back and handling Peckham's.
お前の日頃の仕事を評価して次のお茶会では俺たちの護衛を任せることにしたしっかりやりな
ありがたき幸せ
なんで今そんな話を俺たちにするんだジンベエ
護衛が自分たちならば邪魔する者はおらんということベッジはビッグマムの首を取る気なんじゃ
Yeah. So this could help for sure. That's bold, bro, to go after a fucking emperor that way.
お前さんたちをここへ案内したペコムズは実はベッジたちに連れ去られ
てめえママを舐めすぎなんだよ、
義理がたいペコムズは口封じに岸壁でサメの群がる海へ落とされた
But Jinbei was there to save the day, wasn't he? Oh yeah, fisherman in general. Man, Peckham's has had it real rough.
よかった無事なのかしかし
Yeah, literally.
くそベッジのやつ許さね
No, he's saying make a deal with Bege, bro.
ルフィここからが相談じゃペコムズには悪いが今この状況でベッジを敵に
You need the allies. And then just don't trust them after the fact.
今から作戦を練る我ら10人に対し
このゲドウども必ずバラしてやる
That's killing me, man.
ルフィサンジベッジと手を組まんか
But definitely not Shaw Hat's kind of style, but it might be necessary here.
その数時間後最悪の世代の一人
Look at his way of depicting Luffy, bro.
カポネギャングベッジ
Bro, this goes hard.
この二人の開発により今まさに
I love it.
未聞の作戦が企てられようとしていた
They looking like some real mafia pirates now. Good shit, yeah. That was great. Getting excited now. This feels like we're finally turning the plot line a little bit off of Sanji's just pain and his suffering internally to them all working together and coming to bring the Big Mama down, dude. All right, y'all. Man, beautifully produced episode right there. Well, specifically talking about 825. Very beautifully produced. 826, great episode too. But gotta say that 825, obviously the strongest episode out of these two, and honestly probably the strongest in my mind out of this whole arc. Obviously a lot of setup had to go in place for this. You know, starting kind of originally with Sanji and Luffy's altercation, the fight, and how that fallout from that has kind of led to this moment. I really kind of just want to reflect on Sanji's character at this point in the story. You know, we've definitely talked a lot about him through this arc many times in different review sections, that, you know, after getting little tidbits about his character. But I think this really kind of brings it full circle, and I'm imagining there's going to be a lot of other characters developed along this theme of, you know, kind of family-child relationships. I thought what was really interesting in this altercation, or I guess this confrontation between Luffy and Sanji, was Sanji's demeanor while Luffy was eating this food, this rotten food, this food that's been spoiled or not the way Sanji probably would intended of it to be presented to his friends or people that he cares about. And as Luffy's eating it and enjoying it and loving it, and it bringing him sustenance and so much that Luffy, like, there's multiple layers to how this is important to Luffy. Obviously, physiologically, and being able to gain his energy back, being on the brink of starving to death. I mean, he's probably not actually starving to death, but he has intentionally let himself get to this state of being so weak, and it's bringing that back. It's giving that to him. It's giving him hope and faith in Sanji being there to love him and provide for him there. And Sanji's, first reaction, or I guess as Luffy's eating this food, and he kind of, prefaces it with that it had gone wet and he dropped it and all these things, and he says, "It's just another failure, isn't it?" And as Luffy's saying that he loves it and it's so good, he says, "Don't lie." I think those two things are super interesting. I think it really, shows you the low self-esteem that we've kind of been getting from Sanji in this arc. The lack of self-worth, the just really how he sees himself from growing up in this family dynamic where he was always the failure. He never really had anyone to help build his self-confidence, his self-worth. And I just love the parallels of this scene to the scene with him bringing that junk food, the spoiled food, all that to Sora, his mother, and how she saw so much more in it than just what the quality of the food itself, but the intention behind it and the love put behind it. There was some quote I heard recently that cooking is a lover's labor or something like that. Basically saying that, hey, there's so much hard work and grit put into cooking, but it's such an act of love to put all that effort and stuff into cooking for the people you care about. And I feel like Sanji is such a good representation of that as a character in this story. But yeah, you see how deeply ingrained this is in Sanji. It's almost like he has had all this kind of passed down to him from his family. One thing I thought of, when they're kind of flashing back to certain moments in his backstory with Judge talking about, don't mention yourself to any, or your relation to me, it would be the greatest shame. And you see just how much shame Sanji has in this confrontation, or this meeting with Luffy after everything he did to push Luffy away to protect him and his friends. What he did to Nami and the shame he has with having to face her. I think a lot of his actions have been a projection of that shame and lack of self-esteem or self-worth or self-confidence. He's always thinking about others first. And it's a double-edged sword, because on one hand, it's really who Sanji is, that compassion he has for people. But on the other hand, if he doesn't have that compassion for himself, then it comes out in dysfunctional ways like this, where he's self-sacrificing too much, and it's breaking the bonds of what he really loves, just for the compassion of others. And I think that's really shown when Luffy gets so tired of what Sanji's saying, and he punches him. He's trying to knock that sense of him, and he says, say what you really want. And that "you" was in italics. Sanji's rationalizing the situation of hey, I can't come back. Or in the first place, even when he went with them, he didn't want to implicate his friends into this. And then at this point where he's done a bunch of damage, he's like, one, I can't come back because I hurt you. I pushed you away, etc. At Barati, all my close ones are being held hostage. And then 3 was his actual family, his bloodline. Even though he doesn't really owe them anything, he just can't bear to see them killed. He can't just walk away from them. He doesn't have the courage to walk away for himself. He feels like he probably has a duty to do this, almost like that compassion's holding him almost hostage, right? The compassion for others. And it's being manipulated and used against him by Big Mama and his father Judge, and put him in this situation where he feels completely helpless. And I just love how Luffy's response to that is, well, that's who you are. You know, he actually, you know, when Sanji's breaking down in that moment, and by the way, amazing voice acting by the VA of Sanji. I love that. You know, the vulnerability there, the rock bottom kind of emotion, and really, you can tell that's really who Sanji is in that moment. You know, he is saying what he really wants. He wants to go back to the old Sunny, but that he lacks the courage to walk away from all of this. He's trapped, and I love when he reiterates how he can't walk away from his family, even though you know, he doesn't owe them anything. And honestly, he despises them. He still can't walk away. That shows the love and compassion Sanji has for humanity and people in general. And Luffy validates that. He's like, well, that's who you are, though, and it's okay to have that compassion. We're here for you, but don't you dare ever not be who you are for yourself too. You know, don't just shove away who you are, like, and focus only on what that means for other people, but you got to be true and authentic to yourself. You know, Sanji has rationalized this whole situation for others versus, you know, one, really grounding himself in what he believes and wants for himself, and then rationalizing it from there and weighing like kind of the pros and cons of the situation. I think you know, a lot of people probably do that in general, but especially for the people who are a little bit more like Sanji. You know, I think I talked about this in some of the review sections about how Sanji's character really resonates with me in this arc, because I'm very much kind of on that same wavelength where I think of others much more naturally, right? Like, it's my default is to empathize. I'm very sensitive to other people and wanting them to feel seen, heard, comfortable, happy, and the unnatural thing is for me to look at that for myself first, and so it's, you know, it really hit something with me. I'm sure y'all could tell that it was almost like relieving to hear Sanji to say what he really wanted, because and like him admitting to lacking the courage, because for people like Sanji and for like me, it feels so scary to say what you really want in these kind of situations, and just in general too, to a degree. You know, you kind of thrive off being the mediator or the person in the middle of the whole group, and seeing them for who they are and loving them, but not doing it for yourself. And I just love that Luffy was able to help Sanji have the courage to tell him what he needed and what he wanted, and a lot of times that's kind of what us compassionate or people pleaser types need sometimes. You know, that's kind of how it's come out with me, is how I've identified as like a lot of people pleasing tendencies, right? It's a coping mechanism, kind of around your lack of self-worth. You know, you try to control somewhat of the outcomes of situations by you know, putting other people first, trying to control that so that you feel okay in yourself, versus looking at yourself and what you want to feel okay, and then be able to impact the world from there and the people that you care about. And, you know, I mentioned in the reaction too of how, like, if you operate in that way, though, you break down those actual bonds. You know, the people who have those bonds and connection and love for you, they want you to be not like selfish, but self-interested. You know, selfish is such a negative connotation of a word, but to me, it's a spectrum where, you know, you can't be selfless unless like you actually have a self and are confident in yourself first. You know, you have to be looking out for yourself, or else you do actions that are dysfunctional in this way, like we've seen with Sanji in this arc. And I think this whole paradigm that Sanji functioned under is, you know, reinforced once again when, you know, Luffy and Sanji have kind of made up at this point, but they go and talk to the crew, and you know, they ask if Sanji's going to come back with them now, and he has to break down, no, he's not going to come back yet. This is what Sanji wants and needs, is he wants to stay for the tea party to rescue his family. And like Sanji's immediate reaction, like everybody, like, you know, you see the darkening faces kind of misleading you as an audience, and Sanji's reaction is automatic, like, but Luffy, like, you know, I can't ask that of my friends. This is the emperor we're talking about. You know, he's just worried about his friends. safety, maybe what they're comfortable with. He doesn't want to ask people. He doesn't want to put his problems on others, right? And then immediately, of course, that is, you know, that narrative almost, or that line of reason that Sanji has is broken when all the Straw Hats are like, we don't care. We're just happy that you would come back to us, that you're part of the family. You know, we love you and want to be there for you and your needs and your wants, what Sanji needs. Really beautiful. I love that part, because I think it's going to be something that Sanji is probably going to have to learn to do over time, is to think about himself first to a degree here. But yeah, I think it was really good to kind of like reinforce Sanji's way of operating in the world and how it has been disconnected from how other people see him. That's why friends are so important. You know, they mirror you back to yourself, and so many times we misperceive the way we operate in the world. And yeah, I don't know, man. These episodes and this arc in general has definitely really resonated with me a ton as a person. I know it probably wouldn't resonate with everybody. Everyone's on different, you know, ends of the spectrum when it comes to, you know, self-worth and confidence and all these things. But for me, it has definitely felt like an important arc for me to watch. And, you know, because this has been something that I've been learning over my adult life now, you know, the past 5 years or so, when I've been, you know, doing a lot of self-exploration and trying to understand some of my pain. And this does relate a lot, you know. I do want to mention too in that episode, and talking about kind of the production of, you know, the soundtrack that comes on in the back, the instrumental of We Are, and it's a different instrumental, different feel to it. Feels grander, or like a slower build up, and it's so appropriate. Like the feel or the theme of friendship in this show, and around that soundtrack, you know, the sense of adventure from it. I really think that was a beautiful pairing with the subject of this scene. You know, the transition from rain to sunshine is such a hopeful way to make the audience feel about this, and all of it being centered around Luffy and these friends believing in one each other and helping each other see each other for who they are. That's such a strength of Luffy, man. He is so good at perceiving who someone really is, and he can tell, like, there's so many layers to this, right? We're talking about this is complicated stuff, and Luffy can still see who Sanji is. And I think that's just so beautiful, man. It's amazing to me. You know, it almost reminds me a little bit of Robin's backstory to a degree. Very different plot line, or not, I want to say plot lines, but different kinds of pain, but somewhat both of them being very isolated as kids. You know, there's definitely parallels between their characters and them kind of lying to themselves or rationalizing things. You know, a lot of times I feel like lying to yourself, it comes off a little strongly, because like when we lie to others, we, you know that you're lying, or that you're contorting the truth. But when it comes to yourself, a lot of times, like, you're intaking perceptions and situations, relationships with people, the safety of people. And at least for me, what like my brain does is it like kind of rationalizes it and you know, kind of makes it so, yeah, it makes sense. It's understandable in the situation to do X, Y, and Z for other people's benefit. But it's kind of a coping mechanism itself too, right? Like, you can't rationalize if you don't know where you stand first. You know, you need to understand how you feel and what you want and what you need before you can ever try to rationalize the rest of the situation. You'll be ungrounded from that point, and you're kind of muddying the waters of what is true to you. And that's kind of like what lying to yourself kind of feels like, at least from my experience. And you know, maybe Sanji's kind of had that too. Robin had that line to herself that she wants to live. You know, that she wanted to have friends and a family and all these things. And for Sanji, you know, lying to himself about what he really wants in his life at this point, and just kind of, you know, being grateful for the life he's had. You know, it's been fulfilling, but it's been good enough. It's been good enough. You know, I had my friends for a while. I lived a good enough life, and now I'm going to go out protecting them instead of following what I really want. All right. Outside of that, got some good little information. You know, it's kind of definitely setting up the next plot or next phase of this arc here, with the tea party and the wedding coming up. We get to meet Katakuri, one of the sweet generals and the second son of Big Mom. Have we met the first son? I don't know. I probably should have been trying to pay attention to that, but he had a really cool character design. Definitely a pretty big aura to him. Very curious on what he's going to be all about. We also meet the Minister of Beans, I think, right? And he seemed to have a cool devil power. Also very big presence to him. And then, yeah, we get a lot of Bege, getting background on his backstory of coming from the West Blue. And Gain Bege, that was his nickname. He was a notorious hitman, and I guess one of the 5. There's like 5 mafia families there. I love like the cultural references. Obviously, a big. Oda definitely took a lot of inspiration from kind of like mobsters, like Chicago kind of mobsters, Italian mob. But yeah, he's like a notorious hitman, almost like psychopath, right? Like he liked seeing the pain and discomfort of others. Like he started with animals, and then he started doing that as a hitman for rival mobsters or working for others. Sorry, got called there a couple times. Been dealing with a TV mounting service that's been a pain in the butt. Anyways, talking about Bege and him also honestly just being a little evil. Like he's not a mafia member who's kind of out there for ambition. He's out there to kind of just, there's some wealth and trying to get assets from people. So he has probably some level of ambition, but it seems like it's mostly like he functions off of the suffering of others. Like even when people are trying to get vengeance, he was taking gratification out of people failing to take their vengeance. So definitely one of the more like chaotic, evil kind of types. Just doesn't really, he doesn't really even have like a clear goal. It seems just to really. Take people in positions of authority, like famous criminals, and kind of backstab them. And he wants to do the same with Big Mama, which is kind of the key here, which is that he's running the security of this event, and he already has some kind of plot to kill Big Mama. So getting the Straw Hats involved would be advantageous for both of them. But I really love the end scene with like the art of the deal between Luffy and Bege and all of them. They all look like such mobsters and stuff, like, kind of the dark underworld kind of type deal. I thought that was really creative. I love that part. All right, y'all. Character ratings. For MVP, you got to give it to Luffy, man. I already talked about this, but just his ability to perceive who people really are, seeing them for who they are is just such an amazing quality of Luffy. And I think that's an amazing quality that friendships usually bring to people is, people helping reflect or mirror back to the people they love, how they perceive them, how they see them. And when it's a true friendship, a true relationship, true love, you really help people in those moments. And I just love what he was able to stand by, Sanji's side and help him have the courage to see himself and see his self-worth. For the best one, of course, Sanji, saying he wants to go back to the All Sunny and just, talking, just breaking down and being vulnerable to Luffy in that moment. That was so needed, and amazing voice acting too. I want to give it, a lot of props to the voice actor here. For the funniest moment, we'll give that to Jinbei when he keeps including Brule and the Choo Choo guy in their the counts of how many are on their side. I love Brule's reaction, like, stop counting us. Then for the Sacco, no character really got on my nerve, but you gotta give Bege a Sacco here. He's a piece of shit, man. He's definitely a pretty dark character, it seems, and although it's probably gonna come in clutch here, Luffy and the Straw Hats are gonna have to have their guards up after they ally up, because he's gonna try to backstab them at some point. So we'll give him the Sacco a little preemptively, because he's gonna be up to no good, bro. But yeah, y'all, great episode. Let me know what y'all thought about this one, and Sanji's character in general. Like, such an interesting, narrative that Oda has kind of written up here in this plot, and I'm really excited to see how it applies to like other characters. Like, I really believe that Big Mom is gonna have such an interesting backstory that ties a lot to family dynamics, and I don't know, it's just so interesting to me. It always gets my brain going with these like deep emotional, psychological kind of like what defines people, how they perceive themselves, how others perceive them, and the dysfunction comes from it. It's just always so interesting to me. But yeah, I appreciate y'all being here to watch with me. Hope y'all have a really good rest of your day, and I will catch you next time. Peace.